Hey everybody, Josh Sigurdson of World Alternative Media here, and of course we're joined by author and economic analyst here at WAM, John Sneisen. And the debt continues to skyrocket in Canada. In just 1 year, folks, the Canadian private debt to GDP has risen from us being 10th place in the world to 6th. And number 1 in the G20 countries. This is huge. It's catastrophic, and it shows no signs of slowing down. John, can you go into this?
Well, Canada has a debt issue and a debt addiction, and our government has it. Everybody has it. We're racking up on real estate debt, credit card debt, any type of consumer debt. People, for some reason, Canada hasn't seen a collapse in the housing market, so it's continued to blow up the housing price. And interesting enough, Vancouver, we can show a chart of Vancouver, which was crashing, but then of course they've been propping it up again. So now Vancouver is actually past the top that it had and into new levels of I don't know where it's gonna go.
Man, when that bubble bursts, is gonna be horrible. That's just gonna be a catastrophic bubble.
Well, you got to think about all the debt that's just aligned with everything here. So, for example, a lot of houses that people get into, you know, they might be 95% or even higher in loan to value. So, if for some reason suddenly, you know, you get, let's say, a 50% drop in the property prices. Now your loan to value is 130%, and you're way underwater. And what happened in the United States when that happened is, of course, everybody just walked away from their houses. What we're going to see, of course, the Canadian process is way slower here. And they say all the banks are well protected here. Now, we gotta watch ourselves quite well, because now we're running into a massive uncharted territory here in Canada where we've blown a debt bubble out of epic proportions.
Just vast manipulation, the derivative markets out of control. We've seen what happened with BMO and the mortgage-backed securities, collateralized debt obligations. It's just, we're seeing a repeat in history that we saw in 2008, 2007. However, it's going to be much bigger than what we saw then, because it's continuously manipulated ever since then. And when it comes crashing down, it's going to come crashing down like nothing we've ever seen before in history. And that's not just Canada. That's most places in the world, because obviously the derivative markets
interconnected.
Absolutely. Right? And we can't forget about the debt that's created, not just from government spending, which is insane, out of control, or maybe the problem is it is in control because people are controlling it. But we also have to remember the monetary system, the amount of debt that comes from just printing currency out of thin air, and what we've seen from that. And obviously in Canada, we pay off with our taxes the interest on the debt, which is just insane. It's criminal, it's fraudulent, it's wrong. And, you know, people think, well, our money's going to pay off the roads. No, you're being extorted to pay off insane risky investments and insane amounts of debt binges and just basic insanity. It's all just written in the script that way. It's meant to be able to push us into that servitude that we so often talk about here at WAM, into debt. So, John, what else is causing
so
this?
Going back to the debt number, it's 266.89%. That's insane. Well, you look at some countries, as Slovakia, for example, that's 124.20, which is still high. Like, people have way more debt than they should. Now, of course, when you look at the top 10 here, what is a trend? And we'll talk, and I'm going to mention this in my book, of course, that's coming out very soon. Canada, the greatest economy in the world, question mark.
Make sure to buy that book when it's out. We'll be informing a lot of you, and we'll probably do a video on it quite soon.
So what's interesting, I'm going to mention the top 10s here, and you'll see right away what is the problem here, and we'll catch on to that quite quickly. Now, Luxembourg is number 1. The reason for that, I believe, is because that's where the globalist elites are, like the Juncker family and so on, and all these corrupt European idiots that are running around on, of course, every country's dime. They're just getting free money. Iceland, interestingly enough, and we should do a video on it actually, because Iceland has the highest real estate price hike in the world in front of everybody. Norway, of course, another property bubble there. Portugal is number 5, then Canada, then Netherlands, then Denmark, Belgium, Sweden. Now, what is the big thing about these countries? Well, the socialists are talking so highly and greatly about these countries, and the reason why we have such a high private debt, in my point of view, is that we are seeing massive taxation in these countries. Like Denmark is one of the highest in the world. Of course, Norway and Sweden comes right along with it on taxation scale. So what is happening is people pay so much money out in taxes that the money that they've left, they want to go on really nice vacations, have a nice house. So they have to go into mass substantial amounts of debt in order to have a life that equates to, you know, what they were used to. And of course, the governments in these countries too are everywhere from 45 till 55% in expenditure to the GDP. So that tells you that these countries are on the verge of collapse. And with it comes a mass accumulation of debt because people can't afford things anymore with a regular salary. So they have to go into this debt, a massive amount of debt on a global scale.
Absolutely. And we see this kind of script play out because obviously the globalists want people to be in debt. The global central banking system, the global governing structure at the UN, IMF, etc. They want to see people go into debt because that means servitude. As I say so many times, and it's exhausting for John, I'm sure, because I say it every single video, but I want to always make this point that when you are thrown down that bottomless pit of debt, you are forced to ask for a hand up, for a ladder up from the government and the banking system, and that makes you in servitude. That puts you in debt enslavement, and that's exactly what they want. They want a public that's completely in servitude to them. That is perfect for them. That is perfect for their control complex. And what we're seeing is just vast, over-the-top collectivism, just this building on of collectivism on top of collectivism. It begets itself, and it begets growth in that collectivist structure. And when we're looking at even a smaller scale of collectivism, as we often talk about, I'm a voluntarist, when we talk about it from that level, we still see bigger collectivism come out of it because you go small and it still exists. That collectivist structure still exists, and it grows bigger and bigger and bigger until it becomes, once again, this what we call socialist structure. But of course, it's on that collectivist circular spectrum where one turns into the other anyway. Fascism, communism comes full circle, folks. But I think it's just important to tell people about this because it's one of the most easiest ways, the simplest ways that these leaders want to put us in chains. And it's unfortunately those chains that people revere so much. They love those chains. They think that it's going to lead them to prosperity in the future. But as it always happens historically, it will only lead to a bigger bubble. It will only lead to expansion and growth in the structure that people are stuck holding up until it gets so heavy that it crushes them underneath. And it comes later on down the line. The fundamentals are off the table, so you can't put a date on this destruction, but you know it's coming. You know the collapse is coming. And we just want to be able to let people know to the best of our ability about what is to come so they can decide for themselves how to keep themselves and their families safe in the inevitable event of the fiat and market crash that is going to crush so many people underneath. And people have become unsustainable. They can't be self-sustainable anymore. They don't know true self-responsibility. They become dependent and weak. I'm not talking about everyone. Of course, many of our viewers know exactly what's going on, and they've been able to become self-sustainable. But so many have been kind of pushed into this, I suppose you could say, slavery to the system, and they don't even know it. And it becomes Hegelian, that problem, reaction, solution, repeat scenario that's just perpetuated forever because of this system that they've come to accept through years of public schooling, media, government propaganda of all kinds. So I think it's just so important to educate people on this because, yes, Trudeau is terrible in Canada. He's a moron. He's not really the one in charge, though. This has been going on long before Trudeau. Trudeau's just upped the ante a bit. He is a scumbag, absolutely. But he's also a puppet. And the people that are controlling him have been controlling the global construct of this control complex for a long time. And it shows no signs of ending anytime soon. But when that structure comes crashing down, we have a chance, if we're well educated enough, to get out of it instead of just climbing into another collectivist control complex.
Yeah. Well, to just lay it out there for people and finish up this video, unsecured debt, meaning debt that you spend on things that are not creating money back for you, like a business or innovating something, or an investment into something that will create value for somebody else. It's unsecured debt, and what will happen is that you need more and more debt in order to get that hit, and that's what it's all about. It's complete like terrible heroin crack or something that the economy is running on, and it's gonna fail, and it's gonna crash really hard. It's gonna overdose.
Absolutely. And I just wanted to, because everyone complains if we don't, we do it in so many videos, but just talking about quick solutions, that is sound money and decentralization. So on one hand, you should be diversifying. So there's gold, silver, palladium. There's all these precious metals that have proven historically to be prosperous in a crash. And then there's the decentralization of currency with things like Bitcoin, Ethereum. I love Steemit personally, and it's just a great way to protect your wealth and insure your wealth. It's not about investment, it's about insurance, and this is my opinion, not sound advice, because of course I have to go to some Keynesian indoctrination camp to tell you this legally and give you advice. But I think history has proven our points correct when we talk about sound money for thousands of years, thousands and thousands of years, since the beginning of time, going back to using wheat as money, that which carries intrinsic value. Fiat currency always reverts to its intrinsic value of zero, always has, always will, and it's no different this time. And it's happened hundreds of times, going back to 1024 AD in China at the first example of this fiat system, and it's been almost 1,000 years, and you'd think we'd learn from it by now.
Well, guys, anything that is of value, like a commodity that humans need and to use or to eat, that has true value. This fiat paper system is a flawed system that creates mass amounts of enslavement for the population, and the banks always win in that system. When you have commodities yourself, a lot of it, you are way more safer, because when that currency fails, you sit there and have things you need, not just a whole bunch of paper that are worth nothing.
Absolutely, you can put as much of that paper in your mattress as you want, but if it's devalued, it will be worth nothing, except for maybe to heat your
like in the Weimar Republic.
Heat your home. Yeah, exactly. But one more quick thing is that self-sustainability, self-responsibility. So food, water, shelter, defense, obviously, because we always get those comments: you can't eat gold and silver. We're not fucking stupid, folks. We know that. It's just the fact that there's more to it than just food and water. There's a means of getting that food and water without stealing it or harvesting a crop every day, which is impossible, or going out every single day, all day, every day hunting. Let's be real, folks. Most of us live in cities nowadays. People don't know how to do this properly.
To those of you guys that says that you can't eat gold and silver, well, you can buy massive amounts of assets during a time of terrible turmoil, and then you come out on the other side because you had food as well, way more richer, and you could actually be able to get out there and be a huge influence in society and create a fantastic new system.
Absolutely, you can innovate and create demand, and there's so much that you can do in order to get out of this horrible system. But first you have to understand that system, then apply the solutions, and then you'll see that you can keep yourself and your family safe in the inevitable crash. So thanks, John, for going into this with us once again. And check the links below, folks. GoFundMe, Patreon. We can't do it without you. Any donation is very much appreciated, especially as we are so vastly demonetized and censored by YouTube. Also, check our Bitcoin address in the description and the comments, as well as on the screen for you to scan if you please. And don't forget to check our link to the Red Pill Expo, which takes place June 23rd to 24th in Bozeman, Montana, where you could see people like Robert Kiyosaki, G. Edward Griffin, Richard Gage, Lord Monckton, Ty Bollinger, Jeff Berwick, James Corbett, Cynthia McKinney, Mike Adams, Joel Salatin, John Rappaport, Patrick Wood, and the list goes on and on and on.
Time is running out. We're almost there.
Yeah, we're almost there.
Get the tickets if you want to come.
We're hitting the road in about 10 days, less than 10 days now, and we'll be on our way to Bozeman, Montana, and we're going to be bringing you lots of reports from there, so stay tuned for that. But until next time, this is Josh Sigurdson and John Sneisen signing out from World Alternative Media. Find the truth,
be the change.